Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that epitomizes Gilbert O'Sullivan's song, Alone Again, Naturally. Speaking of being alone and unloved. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 solitaire games of all time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now, I don't play solitaire games a lot generally. However, I've been playing them a little bit more since this whole pandemic thing broke out. And I've been playing and reviewing some solitaire games lately that kind of liked and thought, you know, maybe it's time I talk about what are the games I do like to play when no one else is around. Board games. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get started and talk about my favorite games of all time. First of all, I just do want to mention one honorable mention, and that is Cruel Necessity from Victory Point Games. This was the first game I think I ever played solo that really kind of introduced me to the possibilities of solo board gaming, and I really enjoyed it, and it was fun. It was a States of Siege game, of which there were several from have come out from Victory Point Games, and at least one other will be on this list. But let's go ahead and get started with my top 10 list here. So, number 10 is Eldritch Horror. Now, Eldritch Horror, of course, is a cooperative game, but you can play it solo. Essentially, you just have two characters that you control both of them. And that I played this when it first came out. I remember I played it with some friends, I think a couple of times, and I couldn't wait to play it again, so I played it solo. And it was a lot of fun. And I wasn't playing it to review it, I was just playing it for fun. And I thought, wow, this is actually a really cool game, a multiplayer game that plays well solo as well. Of course, Eldritch Horror is the great, tale of, the H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu monsters, and you're racing around the world trying to put out these fires. I got a lot of the expansions, and a lot of the expansions added some layers that I think, I think with a lot of games when you get so many expansions, there's almost a point of diminishing returns, and I think I kind of hit that with Eldritch Horror. So it's almost a thing where I'd almost kind of want to strip it down to not entirely its base, but get away from some of the other things that they added to it. But I really enjoy this game. I think it's a fun game. I think it's a creepy game, and I like the world that it draws you into. So that is Eldritch Horror. That is my number 10 from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 9 is that game I just mentioned that I come back to, a States of Siege game from Victory Point Games. This is Hapsburg Eclipse. Hapsburg Eclipse is a solo game built around World War I. Again, it's States of Siege. You've got different tracks. You've got like the Italian front and the Balkan front and the Russian front. You've got the different armies coming toward you, so you're trying to fight the armies even as you're dealing with internal unrest within the Austrian Empire. You're trying to hold the whole thing together, and it's one of those games where you're just trying to put out all these fires, and things just keep coming, and they keep coming, and you are working, and you're trying to keep everything together. And it's really smart. It's really well done. I really like it. I like the theme. I like World War I. You don't see a lot of games about Austria in World War I. So it's fun. And I like it because it's got a war game feel, but States of Siege games I wouldn't really necessarily classify as war games. Perhaps some people would. But I don't know. I just see this more as kind of a fun and interesting game that deals with war, that has war in it, but is not strictly speaking a war game. But I really enjoy it. A lot of fun. That is Hapsburg Eclipse, my number 9 from Victory Point Games. My number 8 is a game that I just played and reviewed a few months back that my friend Han told me about that really surprised me how much I enjoyed. And this is Marquis. Marquis, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but Marquis is a game where you're the French Resistance in World War II. Again, it's not a war game, but you've got meeples, you've got kind of a map of a region of a city, and you're sending your guys out to fulfill certain tasks. You've got 2 missions you're trying to fulfill, and you need to send your meeples to different locations in order to do different things, in order to collect items, in order to maybe get different rooms on the board, so that you can then fulfill the mission. So there's a lot of different steps, but you got to be careful because there's French police out there. German soldiers can come out there; they're harder to elude. So there's a lot of tension between you being able to fulfill your mission and the cards coming out, which place the policemen, which can theoretically arrest your guys and cause you all sorts of problems. And it's just a fun, interesting solo game that you will be sweating through. And some of the missions are actually fairly easy, some are fairly hard, and some, of course, are right in the middle. You can win them, but they're tough. But I really like Marquis. It's a tremendous amount of fun. That is number 8, Marquis from Side Room Games. My number 7 is a game that I actually have just played since the pandemic. It's a game it's been on my radar for a while. I actually bought a copy for George and Holly years ago when I was still in Utah. And it's one that I was kind of interested in. I don't really like collectible games, and this is a collectible game. But I thought, well, I'll try it. I'll see what I think. And I had some gift certificates for my birthday from Amazon. So I thought, yeah, I've been buying so many books, because of the old school. I thought, yeah, hey, I'll pick up this game. I've always wanted to try it. And this is Arkham Horror, the card game. So I've just been playing a few of the core scenarios here, but really enjoying it. Again, it's like Eldritch Horror. It's got that kind of creepy Lovecraftian feel, which I really enjoy. I like any games that can elicit emotions from you, not just anger and frustration, although those are good too. But I like games that can give you kind of a creepy, immersive theme. Some games give you grand, epic space immersive themes, and I like those, or World War II immersive themes, and I like those. This one gives you a genuinely creepy, scary theme, and it does it well, and I like it, and I like the system, and there's a lot going on here, and I've never really played a game quite like it, because I kind of avoid those collectible card games. I know there are other games out there that are similar. I heard the one new Marvel game Fantasy Flight did was kind of like this, and that's not one that I've been too interested in because it's collectible and I've already got Legendary, So I was not too keen on that, but I thought I'll take a look at this, and I enjoyed it. And like I say, I've only played a few scenarios. What I played, I've really enjoyed, and a lot of it is because of that crazy, scary theme. So that is Arkham Horror, the card game. That is my number 7 from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 6 game is a game I reviewed about a year or so ago from Warhammer Games Workshop, and this is Space Marines, Labyrinth of the Necrons. This game is a pretty fun game, and again, it's made for 1 to 4 players. I don't think I've ever played this with anyone else. I think every game of this I've played has been a solitaire game, and I have really, really had fun with it. I've really enjoyed this game every time I've played it. It's because it's a fairly simple game where you are kind of going into these labyrinth, and you've got the kind of the mazes of the Space Hulk, and you've got your Marines moving down these lanes, but then of course the Necrons pop up. And you've got cards that come out for the Necrons telling you how they're going to spawn, where they're going to spawn, and they're coming right at you, and you don't want to be a space where the Necrons go, or you can be damaged or killed, but you've got to fulfill your objectives. So again, a lot of times you're kind of moving your guys in such a way, you're positioning them in such a way that you can kind of cover every conceivable angle. But it's like I say, it's really simple, but you can string them together and play like campaigns with them, up to 3 levels, and it's just fun. I just like it. It's a good, clever, simple game to play as a cooperative game, and it's even, I think, better solo. Well, I haven't played it with other people, but I really like it as a solo game quite a bit. So that is Space Marines, Labyrinth of the Necrons from Upper Deck and Games Workshop, my number 6. My number 5 is a game I first played at a convention at SaltCon several years ago, the first edition, and then when the second edition came out, I knew I wanted to get a copy. I got the good people at the Game Salute to send me a copy. Black Orchestra is a game that... again, it's a World War II game, but it's not really a war game. You are trying to kill Hitler. And it plays, I think, up to 5 players. I think it's like 2 to 5 players. But again, this is one I played solo a few times, and where you just play two characters. And you're trying to kill Hitler, but you got to make sure your characters are properly motivated. You've got to make sure that their suspicion level isn't too high. You got to go around to fulfill different objectives. A lot of people don't like the ending of the game because they think it's somewhat anticlimactic. I really like it. For me, the journey's the thing here. I really like this game. I like the history, and I like the way the history is presented in kind of this different way. It'd be easy to make another World War II war game, but it has the World War II theme very well. Does it very well, but instead of on a battlefield, it's on the home front, and you don't know who you can trust. And if you've seen the movie Valkyrie, it very much feels like that tense mission to kill Hitler, and it's really good, really fun. I really like it, and I really enjoy playing Black Orchestra solo, like I say, with a couple of characters on the board. So that is Black Orchestra. That is my number 5, and that is from Game Salute. My number 4 is another game that I've only played fairly recently for the first time, and I played it solo several times since. I've also played the 2-player game, which I really like, but I also really like the solo game. This is Freeman's Farm, 1777, from Worthington Games. So this is a game that reenacts the American Revolutionary Battle of Freeman's Farm during the Saratoga campaign. But you've got kind of these lines on the map saying exactly where units move. And you do have some choices, but it almost looks like it's really scripted. If you were just to look at the board, you think, well, this game's scripted. How fun could it be? How much choice do I have? But there was this amazing, a surprising amount of choice that you have in this game, even in the solitaire game, where you are going to put your guys, but how you're going to activate them and who they're going to fire on and what other actions you're going to do. And are you going to rally generals to try to save some guys or not? It's very well done. And like I say, you can play as either the Americans or the British, and I played them both in the solo, and they're both equally difficult in the solo, but very challenging. Quick game, under an hour game, but man, it's fun. This is a really, really good, fun, smart game. I've actually done 2 playthroughs of this. I did a playthrough of Black Orchestra a while back, but I actually played that one wrong because it was one of the first times I played it solo. But the Freeman's Farm, I did 2 just recently playthroughs of this, live playthroughs, where I played one where I played the Americans, and then I played one where I was the British. A very fun game. Really like it. Cannot recommend that enough. That is Freeman's Farm, 1777, from Worthington Games, my number 4. My number 3 is Castle Itter, The Strangest Battle of World War II, from DVG. Essentially, this game is a very... it has a very interesting history behind it. It takes place in May of 1945, after Hitler had committed suicide, but before the Germans had surrendered. And you have kind of Americans, German army, Wehrmacht, an Austrian resistor, French POWs together fighting against the German SS. And so you're trying with these defenders, trying to defend this castle while these SS are coming up on these various tracks around you. You're taking actions, you're playing the SS cards that are activating them, and you're just trying to kind of hold on for American reinforcements to arrive. It's a tough game, particularly as the game goes on. At the beginning of the game, it's fairly easy. You're killing SS left and right, yada, yada, yada. But as the game goes, as the game progresses, and those more difficult SS cards come up, and you're just trying to keep them at bay, even as all your guys are exhausted or disrupted, it becomes really difficult. And it's a fun, fun game. One of my absolute favorite games that that is specifically designed as a solitaire game. In fact, this is my favorite game that is designed as a solitaire game. I played this a few times now, really like it, and I'll probably play it some more, but that's definitely one you will want to check out if you do like the solitaire games. Good World War II history, which I like, and just great mechanics. It's from David Thompson, who designed the Undaunted Normandy and Undaunted North Africa games, which are 2-player games, but they are some of my favorite games that I played recently. Check those games out as well. But Castle Itter is freaking awesome. That is Castle Itter, The Strangest Battle of World War II, number 3 from DVG Games. My number 2 game is to play... Well, so my number 1 and number 2 probably could be interchangeable, but I gave the one the edge just barely. But my number 2 is a game that I love. And I love this game playing with other people. Usually, it's up to 5 players. I usually like playing 2 to 3 players when I play with other people, but I really enjoy playing it solo. Now, if I play it solo, I do play with two players. I play with my left hand and my right hand, and I call them lefty and righty as I'm playing, just so I can keep it straight in my head. But this is one of my all-time favorite games, Marvel Legendary. Marvel Legendary is a very fun game to play solo. The original core game has rules for a solo game, which I never really cared for, so I just tend to play it as a 2-player game, as I say, with the 2 different hands. And I really enjoy it. And one of the reasons why I love Legendary, one of the reasons why I love it as a solitaire game, is there's just so much variety that you can really mix it up and you can really have a lot of fun. I mean, I've got, I think, at this point, everything Legendary's put out. And, like, in my lifetime, there's no way I'm going to be able to do all the combinations. But it's kind of fun to take some chances. And I don't really mix a lot of the sets often. Sometimes I do. But it's just kind of fun to be able to experiment and to have kind of crazy and weird games. You got to be careful though, because sometimes you have like villains that you need certain attributes to beat, and masterminds you need certain attributes to beat, and if you don't have them, you're screwed. So you got to be kind of careful when you put together a game. But I really, really, really enjoy this. It's probably, all things considered, my favorite straight deck builder game. Whereas I'd say like the Undaunted Normandy is my favorite kind of hybrid of deck builder board game. Marvel Legendary is just my favorite straight deck builder. Love it so much, and that is why it is my number 2. So that is my number 2, Marvel Legendary from Upper Deck. Now, my number 1 solitaire game of all time is a game that I love it a lot because, again, it's got a very immersive theme. Perhaps the most immersive theme of any game like this. that has to do with some of the technology involved. This is Mansions of Madness. Now, Mansions of Madness is probably my favorite, it is my favorite H.P. Lovecraft game, my favorite kind of Arkham cycle game, or whatever we're calling it. Cthulhu Mythos game, I really like it more than Eldritch, more than Arkham Horror, the card game, more than those others. Part of that is the app. I like the app integration of this game. I think it's very well done. I like it helps to feel immersive. It helps to feel scary. I actually introduced this game to a friend of mine that I used to work with years ago, and he bought a copy, and he played it with his kids, and his kids were about 9 or 10 or whatever, and they couldn't play it anymore because they got too scared. And it's like, I know, because sometimes I'm playing this game when I'm alone, and it's like, yeah, this is happening. I better look behind my back. I mean, I know I'm alone, but I just better look behind my back just to make sure. It's creepy, and I like that, and I like being a little creeped out when I play this game. And it does it well, and it's a good balance between the app giving you information and telling you important things in a fun and interesting way, and you actually taking decisions on the board and making decisions and playing a board game. This, I think, of all the app-integrated games I've played, this one does it the best, strikes that balance, because there's always the danger of, is it too much of a video game, not enough of a board game? And here I think it works very well. And it's fun to play alone. I'd say most of the games of this I played solo, not all of them, but most of them. And I really enjoy playing this game solo. So that is Mansions of Madness. That is my number one game from Fantasy Flight Games. Well, as always, I'm interested to know what you think of my choices. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think? What games would you put on your list? Please feel free to leave comments on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and all those goodies. Please subscribe, like, all those things, and let me know what you think. I'm always very eager to hear about your opinions on these things. And, ladies and gentlemen, earlier in the broadcast, and I do this occasionally, I joke about being alone or whatever, I've had people reach out to me. I'm fine. I actually have great friends. I have wonderful family, brothers and sisters and whatnot. So I'm okay. Do not worry about me at all. But I did want to take a minute just to say that if you are somebody who maybe is struggling with things like that, if you ever have feelings that people don't care about you, or you just feel lonely or whatever, just know, I haven't met you, but I think you're a good person. Don't do anything stupid. And I'd like to also just put this up here. This is the hotline for the National Suicide Prevention Center. Please go ahead and give it a call if you think about maybe doing something that is going to be harmful to you. The thing of it is, death is just so permanent, and there are so many great games out there. And more than games, there's great people. There's great books. There's great art. And a lot of things can get you down, but there's so much to lift you up. So, if you need to call this number, please, please, please do. And God bless.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line.